What's up, Ego Hackers? Welcome to the C.S. Joseph Podcast. Today's episode, we're going to be discussing Vainglory and INTJs, and how can an INTJ use Vainglory to basically improve their life, become a peak performer in their life, and just improve their own quality of life in general. So, I think this is a great opportunity. Great question. Happy to answer it. And wow, the wind is just completely out of control. Let's see if the microphone can hold up to this recording. We'll see. Anyway, so Vainglory. Let's talk about INTJ's quadra first, though. INTJs are known as the Wayfarer quadra. They share Wayfarer with ESFPs, ENTJs, and ISFPs. I really enjoy Wayfarer, also known as Gamma Quadra, as Chris loves to continue calling them Gamma Quadra. But yes, they are the Gamma Quadra, and Gamma Quadra is all about prestige and seeking out treasure in life. They're like treasure hunters. They're basically pirates, let's be honest. These people are pirates. They behave like pirates in the context of their life. And then as a result of being pirate-like, because, I'm a crusader, so I'm basically a ninja, right? And crusaders are made for wayfarers, so pirates and ninjas actually go together, let's be straight, But the situation is that, like, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, life to them is about gaining and gathering as much treasure up for themselves and then figuring out who to share it with, right? But the difference is that, like, if you're going to look at it from a temple exploration point of view, psychologically speaking, INTJs are different, especially from ENTJs and ISFPs, because they're in the body temple. Body temple is all about legacy. And, like, the treasure that they gather up for themselves is all about, promoting their legacy, ultimately. It's about acquiring treasure or using treasure. Acquiring treasure could be like their life purpose for a little bit, but most of the time it's actually about acquiring treasure to use that treasure in order to create see their life purpose through. And that's an ENTJ ISFP approach. INTJ wayfarers are a little bit different. They gather up treasure for themselves because of what they are looking for, what they are seeking for in their life, which is known as reverence. This is the cognitive origin known as reverence. Reverence is also known as a deep respect. They want to have deep respect for themselves. They want to feel good of themselves, feel good, like they want to feel so worthy that they respect themselves. They have a deep respect for themselves, but they also want to have a deep respect from other people in their life, basically. So it's one or the other. It's in effect, it's both, right? They want to have internalization and externalization of reverence or deep respect in their life. And INTJs utilize treasure from being a wayfarer to actually make this happen. However, oftentimes INTJs end up using their deadly sin of vainglory and vanity in order to gain that deep respect or that reverence that they're seeking the most for in their life, basically. Constantly going in that direction. Like they're the people who will literally purchase a Bugatti because they believe people will regard them more, respect them more. And kind of seems like a shallow thing. That's why INTJs are actually the shallowest of the 16 types, because they use the accolades of power, the accolades of respect, the accolades of treasure, basically, and use it and leverage it to gain more deep respect from other people. And that's not exactly the best situation for them to be in. Not always, at least. I'm going to have to adjust the camera here. Hopefully we can save the sound. Gosh, that's ridiculous. But hey, that's what I get for filming in nature. Recording in nature. I mean, why not? Like, do you want me to be in some, like, stuffy office? I couldn't imagine being like Rollo Tomasi on his podcast. Just recording there, in his little soundproof studio, really committed to, like, audio quality and visual quality and all this and that. I'm like, yeah, those things are nice, but, like, you can't replace nature. can't do it. I'd rather be out in the sun. Give me some vitamin D, you know what I'm saying? Living my life, not having to deal with all, I don't want to be, like, cooped up in some artificial light bullshit, But whatever. It is what it is. So, how does an INTJ actually use Vainglory to increase their performance? Because here's the thing. Like, Vainglory can be augmented in such a way for gathering up for themselves treasure like any wayfarer would. Vainglory could be used as an internal need, a source of motivation that an INTJ could use. A source of motivation that an INTJ could use to basically position themselves better in their life, to gain that deep respect, basically. And they want that reverence so bad, but how are they even motivated to get out of bed to do it? So they oftentimes, due to the lack of reverence in their life, they cover it up by increasing their vanity. And they increase their vanity by potentially gaining treasure or going out of their way to gain as many achievements or certifications or different levels, etc., so they can finally say, I have arrived. Because ultimately, nirvana for them is for others to have a deep respect for them as well as a deep respect for themselves. That ultimately is nirvana to an INTJ. And it's really only INTJs in the world that actually behave like they can actually arrive at a certain level. That they actually think they can arrive. There's no such thing as arriving. But why else do you think that the Buddha himself, who created Buddhism, is also an INTJ? It's all about arriving, right? At nirvana, right? Or is it really actually being on a consistent journey to nirvana on a regular basis? Maybe that was his actual argument, as an INTJ. Who knows? But the reality of the situation is like, how do you deal with that? Vanity is entirely necessary. Like, you look at the Buddha. He's a great example. He started out in his life being completely vain. He had everything given to him as a prince, because he was a prince. Then he spends the rest of his other life going the hard other extreme, was doing mega modesty. And he went, to the point of even becoming too modest. He was a very imbalanced individual, And that's why he preaches so much about balance, because he realized how imbalanced he actually was. Going hard extremes of vanity and one thing, and then doing the hard extreme of modesty on the other side, as he's trying to deal with the fact that he just really, at the end of the day, wanted reverence. But he never actually could describe for himself that having deep respect for self and deep respect from others towards himself was everything that he had ever wanted. And if he'd have just had that, he would have been happy. That's what he was seeking in his life. But no, he had to go in the extremes, the deadly sin of living virtue. But regardless, he is the example of the opposite. He is the opposite of using vainglory to gain reverence. He used modesty in his way, in his life, and in his belief system that he preached, that he taught, in order to gain deep respect from other people. That was ultimately the direction that he took it. But, nowadays in Western society, the typical INTJ oftentimes just goes out of their way to use their vanity to gain a lot of treasure, to gain a lot of loyalty, to gain a lot of achievements or levels, or to arrive at certain things. Why? Because by gaining all these vain things that don't actually matter, it's motivation to gain those things for self-improvement, so they can ultimately gain what they really want, which is reverence, which is that deep respect, that deep regard. They won't have that reverence. They won't have that deep regard unless that actually happens there. So, in situations like that, you just got to realize, okay, is it really worth it? Well, it can be. Because here's the thing, every INTJ knows that no one's just going to give them regard if they're average. So they have to constantly become above average. And this is how vainglory, as a deadly sin, motivates them to get out of bed every single day and actually start achieving things, because then that level of self-improvement will bring them above the rest. It will make them above average, right? And then they will be treated as if they're above average. That's one of the reasons why they're often seen as people who are obsessed with being perfect, because by seeking perfection, they know that they will rise above the average, and that's all it is. They want to be above average so that people regard them, so that people revere them, so that they can revere themselves. An INTJ can't live with themselves knowing if they are average or below average, and even after a while of being above average is not good enough for them. So they have to go in a completely different direction. They have to keep going. They have to keep achieving. And while a lot of the achievements that they seek are ultimately vain and done so in vain, those achievements ultimately end up leading to self-improvement. So this is how vainglory can actually benefit an INTJ in the long run, ultimately. It is possible. It is definitely a thing. As long as they keep achieving. As long as they stay motivated. Doesn't matter how vain the achievement is. If the net result is self-improvement, then what could the problem actually be? Why not? Why not achieve it? If I can do it, why not achieve it? I will achieve it. So that's the main point, folks. Anyway, if you want answers to your questions, become an Acolyte member. csjoseph.life/members. Upgrade from Journeyman, and I will turn your questions into video responses and episodes on the podcast, also on YouTube. So, anyway, folks, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys tonight on Discord.